morning, good morning, put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This world is getting so cold. I wanna keep running like a soldier. Somebody must have touched my soul, 'cause there ain't no stopping till it's over. I wanna get up out my chair, 'cause everybody's getting so lazy. Don't want nobody touch my hair, 'cause a lot of sisters acting too crazy. And them not tough like this, rough like this, and them not nice like this. Some can't take it when you talk true sense. Rather hear the words that glorify nonsense. Yes, and I got my brains, and I'm pretty like my mama. I don't wanna pick your brains, I just want the microphone. Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I wanna share my love, but it's gotta be with someone who's precious. You're never gonna get my love, accepting that you're real precious. You're never gonna cramp my style, baby, 'cause I get a lot of pleasure. And if you wanna test my style, you better have a whole lot of measure, 'cause I'm a rock back chick, never tag along the never look back chick. Trendy, a little crazy, intelligently singing rock back chick. No sticks, no stones, or any kind of weapon don't belong here. I don't wanna break no bones.
Good morning, Tobago. It's 7 a.m. This is the Tobago Updates morning show, and we're coming to you live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. I am Julian Skeet.
And I am Rhea Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad. Good morning, Caribbean. Good morning, those of you viewing us on the live. Julian, good morning. It is a beautiful day today.
Rhea, we are so thankful. We are so thankful indeed. We saw so much happening in the Tobago space yesterday. After a very long time, we saw the arrival of that international flight BA.
Yes.
Really signaling again that we are heading in that direction, to resume that engagement with the, the international tourists coming to Tobago.
That's right.
Critical to our economy here in the Tobago space. So that was certainly a welcome addition yesterday, landing here in Tobago, that BA flight, and we look forward to later in this month. I think we're also supposed to have the Virgin flight coming in as well.
Yeah, so we're really happy for that. We also saw, in terms of education, tutor walking out of talks with the minister over in-person classes. I understand that tutor is signaling to all teachers, whether vaccinated or unvaccinated, to report to schools after the 17th of January.
And you know that it doesn't strike me as unusual because tutor has been very clear, and more importantly, particularly the school environment is actually catering to students whether you are vaccinated or not. So you see, teachers will quite naturally feel, if we have been going there before anyway to do our duty and to do our service to this nation, in terms of preparing our students, then ultimately, why the change now to affect how we operate in terms of moving forward and progressing with what is important to teachers, which is making that difference in the classroom.
Yeah.
So it's left to be seen how that will turn out, because I think we also have that situation occurring on some other fronts, even within the public service. You hear public servants telling you very clearly, I will be reporting for duty on the 17th and I am not vaccinated, and I will be reporting for duty. So it's going to be a very interesting time. We've
got a few days.
Yeah, it's really going to be an interesting period. But what's also important to note is that the AG seem to now be speaking to some possible time in between to facilitate what might be that kind of transition. And ultimately, I don't see it going very far, save and except it becomes law in this country.
And I want to believe that that is where we are heading.
Yes, I want to, from what I'm seeing naturally, the direction that is being looked at is, just as you're saying rightfully, in terms of the law, then ultimately we may see a different kind of response coming in relation to the issue of vaccination.
All right. Well, we've also got, in fact, I got a message yesterday from a parent, a very concerned parent, and I want to read what she sent to me as it pertains to her two daughters and a University of the West Indies gate situation. She says, my two daughters have been locked out from registering for classes at UWI St. Augustine for this semester because of accounts receivable. They have both been approved for gate. When they emailed UWI, they got no response. Now they have been locked out of their UWI email account, so they cannot send any emails. The president of the guild also emailed them and they have not answered. I need some answers and I can't find anyone who will listen and respond. So it's a call. She indicated here as well that they want the girls, they want them to pay their tuition and then gate would reimburse. Now the fact that they are trying to access or have access to gate means that they do not have all of the money to put up front. Correct. Okay, so you know,
and I'm not sure if there have been changes to the gate since I have been involved in schooling, but I'm not aware that gate does reimbursements. Rather, gate's commitment is usually to the financial institution. I mean, save and accept the policy has changed.
Okay.
But my understanding is that gate's commitment is usually to the financial institution on behalf of the student. Because if I had it in the first place, then I won't need gate.
That's right.
You know, ultimately. So it's left to be seen how that will work out, and we really hope we get some responses from the University of the West Indies. I want to suggest that they should also reach out to the admission section at the university. I know normally they would treat with challenges of this nature.
Okay.
So it would also be useful to reach out to the admissions section. But Ria, I got some birthday shout-outs this morning that I want to make sure we get in that lineup. Birthday shout-outs going out to Trevira James. We want to wish you a happy birthday. Trevira. Keisha Martin Rodriguez, I know she's tuned in here regularly, and that's my classmate as well. I want to wish you a happy birthday. I trust that you have an enjoyable one. Also, shout-outs going out to David Edwards out there in Barbados, wishing you a happy birthday. And Rian Moore in Charlottesville, I want to wish you a happy birthday this morning, and we look forward to seeing you possibly later on in this week when we are up in the east. All right, so wishing you a happy birthday, Rian Moore.
And a special good morning going out to Auntie Dora Lyons, always viewing from the live, and Leslie Ann Ellis, who says, I don't watch all you on no live, I just watch all you from my TV. So, good morning to you, Leslie Ann Ellis.
Good morning, Leslie Ann Ellis, and to all our viewers out there on Gael, as well as M&E TV joining with us. We want to say good morning to you and thank you so much for continuing to connect with us. Ria, who do we have on the rundown this morning?
Well, coming up this morning, Julian, we will be chatting with Dr. Denise Sawyer-Fat-Angus. She's going to be on the program. And the focus this morning is going to be on, the focus this morning is on, you know, some of what we've been talking about in the Tobago space as it relates to the way forward and the multiple government jobs and its implications. So she's on a program to chat with us on that.
Some very interesting information coming out. We'll also be chatting with the British High Commissioner to Trinidad and Tobago. We also saw her do some courtesy calls yesterday, Harriet Cross, and we wrapped this morning with Janelle Critchlow, GCI Tobago President 2022. Viewers, we want to remind you to continue to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
This in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
To all Tobagonians and visitors of this beautiful island, the Tobago Recycling Resource Initiative is seeking your efforts and support in keeping a clean and organized, friendly environment. In doing so, drop-off bins are located at strategic areas around Tobago for your recyclable materials such as plastics, aluminum and steel cans, glass bottles and tetra packs in bags, and let's protect our environment. Our own Tobago Recycling Resource Initiative is here to propel that change. Look for the white bin nearest to your area.
Good morning, good morning, put a smile on your put a smile on your face.
Good morning, viewers. It's 7:10 a.m. and this is the Tobago Updates morning show. We're coming to you live here from the Port Mall in Scarborough. Just before we run into this segment, let me take this opportunity to also send out birthday greetings to Sadie Edwards, and that's coming from the mighty Glasso. And we know that your dad is always locked in to the show here on Tobago Updates. We want to send birthday greetings out to Sadie Edwards, and we're also sending out birthday greetings to Nikita Stewart. That's Nikita Stewart. We trust that you all have an enjoyable birthday today coming from the Tobago Updates family. In this segment, folks, we are chatting with Dr. Denise Sawyerfat Angus, former presiding officer of the Tobago House of Assembly. Good morning to you, Dr. Angus.
Good morning, Julian. And since I'm here for the first time this year, Happy New Year to you.
All right, thank you very much, and same to you as well. We have the opportunity this morning, one of the topical areas that came up as at yesterday, an issue of concern that would have been raised regarding multiple government jobs and its implications. So we want to start there this morning in terms of looking. We heard some revelations being made specific to current assemblymen within the Tobago House of Assembly holding responsibility or maintaining rather their previous employment while currently engaged as members within the Assembly. Of course, the most popular one that persons would have known by way of the news from the forefront was Assemblyman Watson Duke, Deputy Chief Secretary. But it would appear that there are others. So we want to get a perspective in relation to what's possible. What does the Tobago House of Assembly Act say? How are we to be guided in terms of in this particular area?
Right. Well, I think the distinction we have is that Mr. Duke is a secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, and we now have two assistant secretaries who we have identified who are also doing something similar. And I think the act is very clear. I know that the Attorney General has sought further clarification of it, and perhaps it is a good thing because it keeps coming up over and over again. So we look at under remuneration of members of the Assembly in the Act. It is very clear where it says a secretary or the presiding officer shall not engage in any trade, business, occupation, or other undertaking for profit or remuneration other than that of serving as a secretary or a presiding officer. And I want to read this so that persons know it's actually there so that you can also go and review for yourself. And there's a definition of what or who a secretary is. A secretary, unless a contrary intention appears, means a member of the executive council to whom administrative responsibility is assigned. And so we ask ourselves, okay, who belongs to the executive council? And that too is very defined. The executive council shall comprise the chief secretary, the deputy chief secretary, such other secretaries not being more than 7, selected from amongst the members of the assembly as the president acting in accordance with the advice of the chief secretary may appoint. And so you see the distinction is a difference between a secretary and a chief, and a secretary and an assistant secretary. Assistant secretaries do not belong to the executive council. And so the request for clarification is important because a secretary cannot be deemed to hold multiple portfolios outside of the executive council responsibilities. And I heard the Attorney General yesterday sort of grouped the other two along with Mr. Duke's situation. And in some, when you look at it, their issue is not so much a legal issue. As a secretary, it will be a legal issue. I think their issue is really a moral issue at this time.
Because
where
because that's one of the things I wanted to ask about. If we are to look at it, I mean, I'm no lawyer, and hence the reason why we all look forward to what the interpretation would say. In essence, the portfolios being held both by, as the Attorney General identified, Joel Sampson as Assemblyman, Assistant Secretary and Deputy Presiding Officer, and also Mr. Niall Teet, Assemblyman, as Deputy, as in his capacity as Assistant Secretary.
Correct.
Are not portfolios that fall within the Executive Council of the Tobago House of Assembly. So if we were to take the letter of the law on paper, it would appear
correct
that there's no contradiction there.
With that loophole, but there's another section
well, I'm not
that
sure
we
if that's
will
what
come
the
to.
law will, interpretation will be. But that's what it appears.
But if you really look at the law, that will be a loophole where they will be allowed, to do so. But it becomes a really ethical issue. Can you really have 2 full-time positions? How do you operate in 2 full-time positions where you're expected to attend to the assembly? Even though you're not fully responsible for a division, you do have duties. So, and you are getting paid for duties.
Question, in the context of the parliament, I know that we have seen scenarios in the past where it is senators who function on the opposition side without any ministerial portfolio or so. It's not uncommon that they will continue to retain employment otherwise within the operations. We've seen it with those who have even been appointed as senators here, as opposition senators and so on. Is it that there's a strict limitation for members of parliament across the board, or only members of parliament that hold government portfolios?
Government portfolios, because remember, as senators, you go and you give your debates, you enter the debates, but however, you are not responsible for day-to-day operations of government responsibilities. So that is different.
So there's some kind of flexibility there.
So there is flexibility there because as a senator, you would not get paid as much as a government minister who is expected to really attend to the work of the people.
And to carry out that full-time function.
And to carry out that full-time function.
Have we had similar situations within the Tobago House of Assembly previously? Because I know that we had a situation where then Assemblyman Farley Augustine, you know, would have been challenged by the then Chief Secretary, bringing it forward, Mr. Kelvin Charles. My understanding is, however, that that had to do specifically to the teaching service regulations that govern how the individuals operate within the teaching service. So you could bring about any clarity there for us?
Correct. And that is perhaps the other angle that the AG needs to be taking. He may find more clarity in that area, and that area needs to be clarified. The question of whether you can receive 2 salaries for full-time work from government entities. Because at the end of the day, all of those are government entities. The Port Authority and WASA, they're both deemed government entities, and regardless of whether this one disburses the funds or not, it all comes from one purse. One purse, correct? And therefore, I think that is the issue that needs clarification in the area of the assistant secretaries. Now, if they had taken a job at some other non-governmental organization, there wouldn't be an issue. They would be able to do it. But at the end of the day, the reason why it is done is to really lessen conflict. Conflict of interest, to reduce conflict of interest. But again, I go back to the fact that the real issue is, can you be really getting 2 salaries from 2 governmental agencies?
Well, I suppose like most of the country, we'll be looking to see what the outcome is in terms of giving us a particular sense of that. But Dr. Angus, as we wrap this morning's interview, I know it's the first time we've been interacting for the year before, just after the elections and so. You know that your name has been called, and particularly the party that you lead as political leader of the IDA. We wanted to get some feedback specific to their claims in relation to non-payment of persons who have indicated that they've given service over the period of the elections. Any feedback on that matter?
Well,
Any
we would
updates?
have sent out a release, you know, letting persons know that it's not going to be an issue of non-payment, but an issue of delayed payment at this time.
All right. So it would be sorted out?
Of course.
All right. So our viewers out there, just to get a sense, commitment that the payments would be made. Any time frame? Because I suspect that was the concern. Any time frames were communicated? Because I didn't see the release.
No, there's not been a time frame communicated, but we are working towards getting it sorted out in the quickest time frame.
All right. So thank you very much, dear, to Dr. Denise Sawyer-Fat Angus, joining us this morning as we spoke primarily to the issue of multiple government jobs and its implications. We'll see what the outcome of that is based on the matter of the Attorney General that has been brought forward. Viewers, we want to continue to remind you, or rather we want to continue to thank you for the support that you have been showing. Let me give a shout out this morning also to Karen Jones, joining us via TV. They're connecting every morning. Karen Jones, we want to thank you very much for viewing with us, and all of you continuing to join us on the live within Tobago, throughout Trinidad and Tobago. I think we also have Antigua in the house this morning as well, Antigua and Barbuda, and we want to continue to encourage each and every one of you to share the live, share the live, share the live.
I'm Patricia Nicholson Richards.
Welcome to Tobago Update Sports. I'm your boy Marcus Daniel. Thank you.
Trinidad and looms
and remains when
the public is
nobody lives here. Oil and gas exploration continues to affect the livelihood.
Spearsides Marine Industry.
Tobago
fishermen,
when will the
Sion Francis
Hospital be fully functional?
Of the 5 a.m. to 12 p.m. window at the
treasures like the Golden Waterfall
to rise in Tobago.
What thing is GB there, boy?
Promoter! Right now they call him a lasso free. What you have for me?
Where you feel, boy? I'm looking for March 5th.
What you mean? Well, I'm looking great because you realize I done fax up already. I'm fully. And on top of fully, I boost up. An extra code.
Don't forget me, you know.
Well, first Saturday in March, yeah. Right. I'm going to make about 9 blazers because I don't know you have plenty show for me.
Niceness.
You see the show them start to come in already? Good thing I've asked up in there. Because you can't pass go without that joke. Somebody say, yeah. Give me back that tune because here quality inside that doing studio. Party get mashed up.
Vaccinate today, live tomorrow.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, Tobago, and welcome. I am Candice Jackson with Tobago Updates, coming to you from the Tobacco Lounge of the Magdalena Grand Hotel. Now, with me today is a very special guest. We have the High Commissioner, we have the British High Commissioner, Her Excellency Harriet Cross. Now, just before I introduce you, I'm just going to give you a little background on Her Excellency. Now, this is her first official visit to Tobago since being admitted into office in September of 2021. And she has served for 23 years in Her Majesty's diplomatic service. She has also served in positions in Yemen, in Morocco, and in Saudi Arabia. And we have an article from the Fletcher School which describes her as your not so stereotypical British diplomat. Now, she also has some passions in human rights and climate change and environment actions. So welcome and good morning to you. A very special good morning to you, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much. That was such a nice introduction. Thank you.
All right. And of course, as I mentioned, you've served in places like Yemen and Morocco and Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Tell me what it's like coming to Trinidad and Tobago after serving in these countries.
I really like variety in my career, and I'd never been in the Caribbean before. So actually coming to Trinidad and Tobago was as new and different as any of those other places. So I love getting to know the culture, the music, the food of a place. And so in the time that I've been here, I've had the opportunity to do that, which is fantastic.
That's great. And of course, we love having you here in Tobago and so on. And I know, of course, from my research, one of the initiatives that you undertook since taking office is that of turning the embassy office into more than just an embassy office, into a foreign commonwealth and development office. Can you tell me a little bit about that initiative and the impact you are hoping to have with it?
Yeah, so previously we had two separate ministries, the Foreign Office and the Department for International Development. And so those two have now merged, creating one new ministry, which is the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. And what it means is that diplomats will be more skilled in thinking about development and kind of understand, there's a lot of data and analysis and all sorts of stuff that actually diplomats weren't necessarily didn't have that at their fingertips before. So now we're better equipped actually to deal with the modern world because we've got this development focus that we've never had before. So it's really exciting. And there's a lot of, in the Caribbean region, of course, there's a lot of development work that goes on. So it's particularly relevant, I would say, especially for small island developing states like Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay. And how can Tobago specifically benefit from something like that?
I think partly it's about understanding Tobago a bit more, because Trinidad and Tobago as a country is clearly it's a middle-income country. It gets money from the oil and gas industry, whereas there are some aspects of Tobago, particularly in the light of the COVID pandemic, and the economy is struggling a bit more than it used to. So actually having development experts look at Tobago through that lens is quite interesting, and it can help them consider ways in which the UK can support Tobago in bouncing back from the pandemic.
Okay, great. And of course, your visit here has been quite jam-packed, and you've had full days of meetings and so on. And one of the meetings that you've had was with our recently elected Chief Secretary, Mr. Farley Augustine. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about that meeting? How did it go, and what were some of the things that came out of that meeting?
It was a very friendly meeting. It was really nice to get to meet the leader of the new administration here. We talked about, I think, probably areas of what I would call mutual interest. So COVID-19 obviously was frankly top of the conversation, yes, as it often has to be nowadays. So we talked about health, we talked about the environment, and tourism, and ways in which we could boost links between the UK and Tobago. We talked about foreign direct investment and the idea that actually Tobago was really a place that needed investment from the rest of the world, and we discussed ways in which we could attract investors from the UK to Tobago. And of course, from a UK perspective, we're also interested in what Tobago has to offer the UK, whether it's food and drink or an opportunity to develop sources of clean energy, for example. The UK has got a lot of expertise in wind power, in electric vehicles, and if that's a path that Tobago wants to take in future, then there's certainly the UK expertise and interest in facilitating that. So it was a really great conversation and quite wide-ranging.
On the point of foreign direct investment, what kind of foreign direct investment are we talking about? Is it like in terms of land development, business development? What can you tell me a little bit more?
I think it could be any number of things, actually. I don't think it has to fit in one particular channel. So it could be about service delivery. It could be about tourism development, probably more so from the UK perspective. As I say, clean energy is something that we're really interested in, and I know that the central government of Trinidad and Tobago has talked about this transition that will be made into cleaner energy sources, and you've got various targets, for example, reducing emissions from vehicles in the next decade or so, and so I think that's something that could definitely benefit Tobago, because it's a source of jobs as well. You know, if people are trained as engineers, as people who repair offshore wind equipment, as people who understand the technology that goes into clean energy, the world is your oyster, really. And that's not only Tobagonians going outside the island to work, but actually deploying and using their expertise here, which I know is really important too.
Okay, great. I know one of the other meetings that you had was specifically with the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. Yeah. And one of the things coming out of that meeting was the commitment to work together with the Test and Tracing Initiative, which is to help treat with the rising cases of COVID-19 that we are now seeing here on the island. Yeah. Could you have a bit more details about this initiative and how it works?
Yeah. So one thing that I was telling the Secretary was that the UK has really suffered from COVID. You know, it's been a really tough time for us, and we've had some of the highest caseload in the world. And so we've got a lot of experience, and partly it's about telling you about our mistakes as much as our successes. And so what we want to do is share that with places like Tobago. So we actually have already held a webinar about the UK's test and trace system. So how you find out who's got COVID. You know, there are various different methods, whether it's PCR or antigen, and then how you go about tracing them, and what that means for self-isolation, what it means for the economy. And actually, I was really delighted. There were a good number of people from Tobago who attended that webinar. So they will, what we hope is, go away and deploy some of that learning, and some of it might be new initiatives that has sparked something that's relevant to the local circumstances. That wasn't anything that we particularly said in the webinar, but they've used like a pinch of what we did and then and made it Tobagonian, which is exactly what we want. So that's one example of us putting our heads together and sharing experiences and using it to take action in the future.
Is there any other assistance that the UK might be extending to Tobago in regards to COVID-19 and helping where this situation is concerned?
We've got a number of strands actually that we're looking at the moment, none of which at the moment are finalised, so it's not something that I want to go into detail right now, but I can reassure you that there are a number of projects that are actually underway and that are receiving funding right now, so I look forward to announcing that in the coming weeks.
Right, and as mentioned before, you are definitely into human rights issues and that sort of thing, and then one of the initiatives that you're here in Tobago for is to launch a victim support training with the TTPS and so on. Yeah. What difference is this program going to make with the police and how we treat the victims here in Trinidad and Tobago?
Yeah, so I think the main objective is to support your police force to be firstly more professionalised and to have to increase its skill base. So the idea first is to start with training trainers. So what we would do, we would train police officers so they themselves can train other people, and then we would physically have a session here at Shivan Road police station, and we would teach more junior officers. Those senior officers who had been trained will then pass on their skills to at least another 20, 24 police officers and some of the civilian staff as well. And what this will do, it will help the police respond to victims of crime, particularly victims of sexual assault. And so this, firstly, it helps British citizens who are here and might have the unfortunate, unfortunately something like that happens to them.
Yes.
But also it means that the police are, of course, also trained to respond to crimes that happen within the Tobago population as well. So it's a sort of win-win on both sides.
Have you been, I know we've had some serious crimes that have happened in the past with UK citizens. Have you been looking into some of that? Because I know there are a few cases of murders and so on that are unsolved to this day.
Yeah, and actually we've got a brilliant consular team at the British High Commission in Port of Spain, and they keep up the contact both with the families, who I think most of which are in the UK now, and with the police, and they make regular calls and they say, are there any updates? And often there isn't an update to give, but the communication between the police and the family through the conduit of the British High Commission is still happening. So that's really important for the families to know that there's that source of support for them there, and that people haven't just forgotten about them.
And we know that the Scotland Yard and so on has a worldwide reputation in terms of their investigations and, you know, getting to the bottom of some of these crimes. What support is coming towards Trinidad and Tobago, or how has it been in, you know, trying to share some of those initiatives and those strategies towards dealing with crime and getting some of those crimes solved in our country?
So actually the security relationship is really important to the UK, and we've actually got a memorandum of understanding between the UK and the Trinidad and Tobago government through the Ministry of National Security. So one project that we did recently, which I was fascinated by, was ballistic forensics. So that's about making sure that the police and the forensic services are trained in understanding what a bullet means when they find a bullet, and making sure they can get as much evidence from that bullet as possible. As you know, there is a lot of gun crime, and much of which is unsolved. And so helping the police force to be able to understand ballistic forensics is a really important part of doing that. One thing that we're really keen to do is not for the British police to come in and solve crimes here. That's definitely not what we want to do. We want to share our expertise and sometimes equipment to help your police services solve those crimes, and your judicial services help, you know, make the judicial process run more smoothly. So that's the sort of thing we're doing. We've done a lot of work on training of judges as well, which is part of that whole process.
Okay. Recently we had our main forest reserve be named part of the Man and the Biosphere project and so on from the UN. Tell me, I mean, how do you feel about this project, and, you know, how do you feel you can contribute to it as someone who is very much into the environment and so on?
I think it's so exciting, and you should be so proud of yourself as a citizen of Tobago to have this particular protected area. You know, it shows global recognition for what you've got in Tobago, which is so important. So that's one thing. I'm really excited and proud, you know, on your behalf. But it also means it brings protection with it. And I think that's where the UK interest comes as well. So whether it's about, so for example, one project that we're doing in Trinidad is about the mangrove swamps, and looking at how mangrove swamps can help with carbon capture. Now here in Tobago, I think the marine environment is one of the more interesting elements of how we protect the ocean. So Trinidad and Tobago is a member of the Global Ocean Alliance, and that gives it takes on particular responsibilities to protect the ocean around its twin islands. Yes. So looking at the coral, looking at the animal life, all that, and how that can help how you can preserve that, and how the UK can share some of what we've done in our own waters, I think is one example of where we'd like to work together in relation to that biosphere.
Okay, great. And finally, what is your impression of Tobago so far?
Oh my goodness, I love Tobago, quite genuinely. I think it's such a beautiful island. I love the fact that you're so close to the sea all the time. But actually, I love the fact that you've got this incredible rainforest in the middle as well. You know, I think sometimes people think of Caribbean islands of just being sand and sea, and the fact that you've got this like lush forest full of interesting animals is amazing. And the bird life here. I mean, I've sat on the beach. Is it King Peter's Beach that you have?
Yes.
I sat there on a previous informal visit and just watched the pelicans, and there must have been 50, 60 pelicans diving for the fish. Absolutely incredible. And tell you, as a British person, you don't get that experience anywhere else, and you get that experience on very few other Caribbean islands as well.
Well, you are welcome to come in and view and just take in everything that we have to offer. But I want to thank you, Your Excellency, for being with us on the Tobago Updates morning program. It's been a pleasure. And viewers, stick with us. We have a lot more coming up for you after the break. I am Candice Jackson.
I'm Patricia Nicholson Richards.
Welcome to Tobago Update Sports. I'm your boy Marcus Daniel. Thank you.
Trinidad and looms
and remains. When
the public is
nobody lives here. Oil and gas exploration continues to affect the livelihood.
Spearsides Marine Industry. Tobago fishermen.
When will the Roxborough Hospital be fully functional?
Of the 5 a.m. to 12 p.m. window
at the island,
treasures
like the golden
continue
waterfall,
to rise in Tobago.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning,
morning. Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. In this segment, we are chatting with Janelle Critchlow, JCI Tobago President 2022, and it's all about JCI Tobago. Good morning and welcome to you, Janelle.
Good morning, Ria, and good morning, Tobago. My name is Janelle Maconi Critchlow, and I am the 2022 local president for JCI Tobago.
All right. Now, JCIs, I understand, can do anything. She reminded me of that just before the interview started. A special good morning, though, this morning going out to Karen and Dixelle Jones. I understand there's a very special tie to these two persons where you are concerned.
Yes, well, Dixelle is my sister and Karen is my brother-in-law, so that makes the connection even greater. That's why Julian would have prompted you to give them that shout out.
Yes, and Karen happens to be Julian's cousin, so he's keeping it really close.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, keeping the family ties really close. Now, I want to congratulate you rather on your recent appointment as president of JCI Tobago. So let's talk about JCI itself and what the organization stands for.
Okay, so JCI stands for Junior Chamber International, and it is a non-profit international organization. Right? It's for young people between the age of 18 to 40. We provide developmental opportunities that empower young people to create positive change. So we see a solution and then we come up with we see a problem, and then we come up with a solution to fix that problem. So it's really the greatest young people organization in the whole entire world.
Wow, talk about a promotion for JCI. Now, how long ago did you get involved in JCI?
I started JCI in 2019, January of 2019. And at my first meeting, I would have volunteered to be the fundraising chair. And that is one of the biggest committees in the organization. And persons were looking at me like, is she crazy? Her first meeting and she's volunteering for the fundraising chair? But I'm happy to say that we were able to execute 2 major fundraising projects that would have saw us inject a lot of revenue into our account that year. Right? And then from there, that year I got a short stint as Vice President External. The following year, I was elected Vice President External in 2020. In 2021, I was Executive Vice President. And here I am today, your local president for 2022.
Wow, talk about jumping right in. Let me say here, in the deep. You didn't just jump in, you jumped in the deep.
Yes, in the deep.
All right. Now, let's talk about the former president, Sean Benoit, and some of what he would have accomplished you know, before you took over?
Well, Mr. Benoit would have led the organization in 2021, and he did a really, really good job at it. We were elected top 3 in the world, in the world of all the local organizations in JCI. JCI Tobago was the top 3. So that is something for us as Tobagonians to be proud of, because we are really making an impact around the world. We're little, but we talawa. And right now,
that's right. Say it one more time.
We're little, but we talawa.
That's right. And she said it with attitude. I love the attitude.
Right? And he was elected national vice president for West Indies board this year. And our national president is that in Miss Brittany Romeo. And so we are lucky to have 3 Tobagonians on the national board, the West Indies board for 2022. Our SG, our National Secretary General in Miss Brittany Williams, is also on the board. So we are doing good things. We are making impact.
Yes, Tobago for your money.
Yes.
All right. So tell us now about, you know, there's a project that you've got coming up. Tell us about the project.
Well, we have a number of projects for the year because JCI has a philosophy of 1 year to lead. So as I said, it's a organization that allows people to create positive change. It really enhances your leadership skill. So every president have 1 year to lead. So that is the philosophy. So you come in with your ideas and your project to execute them. So we have a blueprint that we need to follow, the areas of opportunity, which is business and entrepreneurship, international cooperation, individual development, and community impact. So we can choose out any one of these areas and have a project get there. Then we have to apply to the 5 pillars, which are impact, motivate, collaborate, connect, and invest. And there our project build. So it's all about seeing the problem, as I mentioned before, and how are we going to fix this problem? How do you become an active citizen? And in doing all of that, it helps to develop your leadership skill. It makes you a better person. Look at me today. Now, people might say, many viewers might say, Janelle, brave. That's far from the truth. I'm brave around my circle, right? But being on national TV is a whole different thing. But look at me today. I'm here. I'm confident. I'm able to talk. I'm able to well articulate myself to get my message across. So JCI really, really develop your leadership skills. So if you are out there and you want to know, you have these skills, but you are just timid, you are just afraid, come to JCI. We want you at JCI. Come, let us help you be an active citizen.
Now, Janelle, did you see yourself in this role, let's say 5 years ago? Did you say, you know what, as I get old, I think I'm going to join JCI. I think I want to be a better Janelle. Did you see this coming?
I didn't see myself in JCI because I'm a social worker by profession. So I'm a psychiatric social worker. And you know, social workers, we have a soft heart, right? We always want to help. We always want to help somebody, and we always want to give back. So I said, okay, how could I give back? How could I create impact outside of my profession? And I decided to join JCI, right? And in joining JCI, I just saw my skills being developed in front of my eyes in ways I cannot believe. As I was mentioning to you before we started, you asked me if I was feeling nervous. I said, no, I dealt with all of that yesterday. I was like, I am a JC. I can do this. JCIs can do anything.
Yes.
So it really, really helps you develop as an individual.
I am so happy to hear you speak like this. And what are some of the plans for the future?
Okay,
for JCI Tobago?
So we have, as for this year, we have several projects. We already kickstarted our C Scholarship program. We would have partnered with Miss Corinne Powder of the Rules Academy to give one child an opportunity to excel in their C examination. We have our Savage Project 2 coming up, which is a project to stand against violence against women and girls. And that project was under Mr. Benoit leadership, right? But we found that it could be more impactful, so we decided to do it again this year. It's where we mark an X on our face, right, to show our solidarity with the victims and family who would be abused through domestic violence. And then the other part of it was a self-defense training, where we equip them with the techniques to defend themselves in the event that they have become victim to violence. So we have a number of projects. We have our, when I mentioned our C Scholarship, the Savage, we have Adopt a School, we have Fitness and Wellness with Me, we have a whole lot of projects. in the pipeline for 2022.
All right. How do you select a project? Because you said JCI sees the problem and then you find a solution. How
The
do you
selection
select?
of the project is left on the JCs. So they're doing their normal daily lives. They might come with an idea. They might say, Madam President, I have an idea for a project. And I say, okay, do the project proposal. And that is another thing. You get developmental skills in writing a project proposal. So they write their proposal. It is brought before the board. We review it. If we see any tweaks that you need to change, they change it, and then they present it to the GA. When we have General Assembly, the GA approves it, and then we execute the project.
Okay, this is sounding very interesting. The ages of persons you mentioned, just remind us again of the ages. JCI caters to what age group?
18 to 40.
18 to 40. That barely rules me out. I will leave it there. I will say it barely rules me out.
But it's not to say that when you reach the age of 40 that you just die away. You not have certain rights like voting rights within the organization, but you can still be there to lend guidance, to offer any training that we may need. And also, the local organization could even appoint you as senator. So, for example, we have Senator Petal Benoit. She's a JC, and we appointed her as senator. Right, so you still are heavily involved in the organization. They help to mold and train, develop our skills. We are fresh out of a parliamentary training that was held last Saturday, and that was facilitated by Mr. J. Johnson, a JC from the United States. So we have a lot of opportunities. So people need to come on board, get involved with JCI. If you know that you want to be more active, you want to be an active citizen, JCI is the organization, because as I said earlier, it is the greatest organization in the world.
I love how she keeps reiterating that point. Now, you mentioned here that, yes, you want persons to come on board. How can they? Is it by phone call? Do they have to be recommended? How can a young person watching on this morning say, you know what, I want to get involved? I will just make a phone. How do I get involved?
Okay, so they can reach out to us on all our social media platforms. We are on all social media platforms. We just joined TikTok. I'm certain you saw the video with our first TikTok from our installation. Right? So we are on TikTok. We are on all social media platforms. You need to attend at least three GA. You need to join or chair a committee, and the information is on the screen right now. You need to attend trainings and social. You need to be assigned a big brother or a big sister. And upon induction, you need to pay your membership dues, which is $400.
All right. This is sounding very interesting for our young persons, and I think this is something that they should, parents should pay attention to and sort of coerce the children, the teenagers rather, the young adults towards. I really want to thank you this morning. Is there anything that you'd like to leave with the public as it relates to JCI? Any message that you want to leave with them for 2022?
I want you guys to get involved. If you know that you want to be more active in your communities, active within Tobago, come and be a part of JCI Tobago. We welcome all. Come and offer diversity. Come and be involved. Come and leave impact, because we are here to create sustainable impact and to provide developmental opportunities that empower young people to create positive change.
Thank you so much, and I think that is an excellent place to leave this interview. Janelle Critchlow, thank you so much for being with us on the program this morning, and I guess we will see more of you because you did this interview so well. I think we will see you again pretty soon.
Thank you, Ria.
And all the best to you for your term in office.
Thank you so much.
Viewers, we just want to say happy birthday going out to Hayden Phillips, who is attached to the Fire Officer Hayden Phillips, attached to the Scarborough Fire Station. Happy birthday going out to you this morning, and love from the Tobago Updates family. Viewers, at this time we go over to This Day in Tobago History with Devon Adana.
This Day in Tobago History. Did you know that on January 12, 1897, all Tobago's correspondence with the Crown Agent's mail was ordered sent to Trinidad under flying seal? According to Susan Craig James, the Changing Society of Tobago, 125 years ago today, Secretary of State Joseph Chamberlain agreed with the Colonial Secretary and sometimes acting Governor of Tobago, Sir Courtney Knowles. He agreed with his request to have all Tobago correspondence with the Crown agents be sent under flying seal to Trinidad. The request came out of an investigation into then Commissioner of Tobago, William Lowe. Lowe kept pressing Trinidad officials for more autonomy for Tobago to be able to pursue revenue-making opportunities as the island was in dire economic straits. One of his proposals were for Tobago to sell crown lands by installments, which was much better suited to the income of those who lived in Tobago as opposed to having to make the purchase whole as in Trinidad. In an effort to raise revenue for Tobago, Commissioner Lowe sold postage stamps that were misprinted or obsolete over and above a price that was their face value. He did this as the stamps were valuable to collectors, he himself being one. At one point, Commissioner Lowe himself bought £6 worth of the stamps for his private collection. Commissioner Lowe's misdeed did result in creating revenue for Tobago. The island's income increased from £500 in 1895, which is £50 in today's money, and it moved to £1,479 in 1896, which is £207,210 in 2022 money. To avoid checks on his procedures, he bypassed the Trinidad administration. Commissioner Lowe was chastised not only for what was deemed his grave error in judgment in selling the stamps locally and not through the Crown agents, but also for his failure to consult Governor Knowles. You've been watching This Day in Tobago History. My name is Devon Adana. Back to you in studio.
Thank you so much, Devon Adana. Thank you so much there, Devon Adana. Devon almost forgot her name, Julian. I'm not sure what happened.
Yes, it's the energy of that segment when you're speaking to Tobago history, you know. But certainly good, and you know, it continues to be very well appreciated in our Tobago space. We want to give a shout out. I see some on the live there this morning. We have Bretta Melville joining us, Dion Dillon, Arlette Alexis, Darylyn Smart, Tevin Johnson joining us on the live, Jerisha Davis, our usuals, Liesel James, as well as Latoya Anderson, Cindy Taylor, Kuki Melville. Is Macan Hislop on the live this morning? Good morning, Macan Hislop.
And I think that name, Julian, is Brita Melville, and Brita Melville is the former, one of the former principals of the Bell Garden AC, as well as the Signal Hill Government Primary. Nice. She is retired, but very actively involved in community work, and she is viewing us this morning from, not Delaford, Louisdor. Louisdor. I almost forgot, from Louisdor. From Louisdor, Tobago. Second morning to you, Brita Melville, Mrs. Brita Melville.
Never a dull moment on Tobago Updates morning show. Because we really want to thank all of you. I see also joining in on the live here this morning. It's Inga Neptune, Gail Lashley. Thank you so much. Rian, we need to, of course, remember our viewers that also join us via TV. That's Gael, the channel, as well as M&E TV. For those of you joining us via TV and connecting throughout the region and throughout the world at large.
And to some of our sponsors this morning, we say thank you to Her Perfection and Hair Sanctuary, located right here at the Port Mall, Lower Scarborough.
We want to continue to recognize, of course, the Port Mall courts in terms of your continued support to the Tobago Updates. And we want to remind you as well, we have got news coming up tonight. News tonight at 7:30, that's Tobago Updates. So we invite you to definitely lock on to connect with the news tonight, Tobago Updates, and we'll be bringing you all the things happening in our Tobago space here as we present the news with Patricia Nicholson and Marcus Daniel. No, it's now Patricia Nicholson Richards. All right, Pat, don't get upset with me there. So with Patricia Nicholson Richards, as well as Marcus Daniel bringing the news to you, and all our reporters out there. This is a good shout-out time for Natalie. Good morning, Natalie. Good morning, Beverly.
You need to, if you started calling names,
you
need to continue on this morning. But be very careful of the names that you do call.
Who did I forget, Rhea? Who did I forget?
I'm not going to go. I usually suffer from foot and mouth disease, not this morning.
We want to say good morning to all our reporters out there. Of course, you saw Candice in the lineup doing the interview earlier in terms of bringing information there to us. So all our reporters on the outside there, we want to thank each and every one of you. We're also shouting out this morning.
Kenisha.
Good. Kenisha. Clearly, I had a real moment there on set this morning. But viewers, we really want to thank you for the continued love and support. You know, and this is the point where you think Master Control would cue you with all those names so that you don't forget. I mean, I don't want to put you down on the spot, but I'm just saying this morning, we thank you so much for the love and support, Tobago updates, that we continue to receive. And we are particularly pleased, Ria, most importantly, as persons tell me, once you don't make sure and don't forget to shout us out. That's what we're about here. We're about bringing Tobago content to you, substantial interviews, substantial information. But at the same time, we're about connecting with those of you that continue to make us that #1 morning show within Trinidad and Tobago, and in fact we're rivaling for the entire region. This is the Tobago Updates morning show.
And as we go, we say thank you to Grace Stanley, who is always on the live. Good morning to you, Grace Stanley. Onika Mars, good morning to you. Russell Morrison, always on the live.
From Staten
Island.
Thank
you. That's right. We say thank you, Alet Alexis. Good morning. Wendy Ann Francis, an avid viewer of the Tobago Updates morning show. And lovely to have you.
I would have to make the correction on behalf of Brita Melville. Ria, it's Roxborough. Good morning. Thoroughly enjoying the show.
Okay.
Good morning, Roxborough, Tobago.
Not Louis Dor. Okay. As well as Akola Ashby. Good morning to Akola.
My very good friend out there, I'm seeing her on the live as well, Jean Bacchus. Good morning to you, Jean Bacchus.
All right. We just want to remind our viewers before we go as well of our show that's coming up on Friday, as we have Breakfast with the Chief coming to you live from Space Side East Tobago. It's going to be a banging show. It's going to be lit, legit, GT, all of the terms, all of those terms.
I won't even join in. I'll just say good morning, Gavin Vincent. Good morning, Didi Solange Vincent, as well joining us on live. We look forward to an exciting show on Friday and all those terms that Ria used along with it. Ria?
So viewers, have a great day. Stay safe on the roads. Remember to wear your mask, sanitize, and socially distance.
As the young people would say, pops.
Want the microphone, morning. I just want the microphone, morning. Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning.